Oh, and I have a story. I have a story, something that happened today.
Wonderful. Sounds good. All right. I think we're on YouTube. Yep. Sister Nina is there. Can you talk so I can tell if you're echoing?
Talk, 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 talk.
I think you're good.
Okay, but I'm about to click OK, and usually this is
Oh,
where we go sour.
okay.
Echoing? Am I
Try.
echoing? Am I echoing?
No, not real bad. I mean, it's like a little tunnely, but it's not the thing it usually is.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've had a breakthrough.
A breakthrough. Hi, Michael, Sister Nino.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Jonna. Hi, Amy.
Still not too late for you to join me in Los Angeles this weekend, Michael.
Why would Michael go to Los Angeles?
To get good techno. Why else?
Oh, there was something I wanted there that I was like, maybe someone in LA can send it to me. I don't remember what it was. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was. These like yummy strawberry bars from Moon Juice that taste like God's cum in your mouth. Like they're the most delicious thing.
Aha. All right. All right.
If you're near a Moon Juice.
Don't they sell the moon juice things at Erewhon?
They might. I haven't been to LA since 2019. So I probably wouldn't even recognize Erewhon.
Erewhon. The only moon juice that I like is I think there's a moon juice like right off of like where Sunset Boulevard, right off of 405 and Sunset, like on the little there's like a curved street.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I only know the one in Silver Lake.
Okay. I think there is one in off the 405, but I think they sell the moon juice items at Erewhon. I'll look for it.
Oh, thank you.
All over Erewhon. And I said, you guys remember Dani? She wants to know where God's cum is.
It's so that, and then so I did go. I feel like such a hypocrite. I went back to that restaurant, Joseph's, that I said I would never go back to because they require credit cards, but they had space at the bar and it was Ross's birthday. So it's like whatever he wanted. And they have this lamb neck. It's just like shredded pieces that are crispy on the outside. And oh my God, it's so good.
Sounds good. Sounds delicious.
Yeah. I moan in the same way I moan when I eat the Moon Juice strawberry thing.
But I like that, like, your protest didn't even last a week.
It was his birthday, and I was like, all right, if they can seat us at the bar and we don't, I mean, I didn't give them my credit card. I didn't do that thing. Yeah, I know. I'm a whore for good lamb.
To do is while you are there. Oh, hold on a second. I think I actually coming. Hold on. I think I accidentally latched the door and Laura can't get in. Hold on.
I loved the aggression in how Emily just said that. It felt so out of character.
Sorry. All right. Sorry about that, guys. It's been quite a day. So the move is while you are there and so content and you know, they come over and ask how good it is. Can I talk to the manager? Hey, I'm having a lovely time. This is one of my favorite places. I just want to let you know that like this happened. It wasn't my favorite. Like, can we work out a different arrangement? And usually it happens.
Okay, I've been thrown out of this restaurant before. It's a miracle that I'm even allowed back. So I think they tolerate me, but I don't think that that's going to happen.
Got it. I didn't realize you'd been thrown. I've never been thrown out of a restaurant. Wow. All right. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. It was even pre-COVID. So I want to share what happened today at the gym.
All right, let's hear it.
Oh, okay. So I forgot, like, we're dealing with zombie apocalypse and like everyone's going crazy because of whatever programs are being run through their kill shots. And so they're already so disconnected from their humanity. And then it's a day before Thanksgiving. So I'm driving behind all these cars from Texas who like don't know how, it's either the Texans or the Californians who like don't know how to drive. So there was already like, it took me longer to get to the gym than normal. And today was my first doubles racquetball game. So there were people waiting. So as I walk into the gym, there's always, and there was today, this very, very severely retarded man who's always sitting on a chair, like to the left of the entrance, obviously just waiting for whoever's working out. And I've seen him there for, forever, right? He's just kind of a staple. So I go in like through the glass doors and there's a line. And in front of me is a woman and like four teenage girls. And there are two people who are checking people in. So there's one person being checked in, and then there's space for this gaggle of people to be checked in. And the woman behind me says, there's someone available. Why aren't they checking in? And I said, because they're retarded. And she goes, oh, you can't say that. And I said, of course I can. I just said it. And she goes, no, that's a terrible thing to say. And I'm like, no, it really isn't. It's a descriptive thing to say. And then she goes, it hurts their hearts. And I said, trust me, their hearts don't give a shit. They don't even know what the word means. Case and point. And that was my entrance to the gym. But what annoys me is like, it is fair to say that offends me and you're a terrible person. What is not okay to say is you're not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
So I went, it was annoying.
It's endlessly fascinating to me. I was having a deep and somewhat aggressive conversation with my helper at work today, right? And like, this is a very, very smart person, very, very savvy on a number of levels, right? But it's just like, it's crazy to me how many things people don't understand, right? Like, just like off the, like, it just rolls out of the mouth things like, well, all the laws that were passed during COVID, I'm like, there was no laws passed. There were no laws passed, right? And this person is just graduated from law school, right? And so it's like, I don't know how many generations removed from like most people getting a good education are we, right? Like, I would like to think that it's just like one or two generations, but I can see that it's a lot more than that, because I'm assuming the woman at the gym was not like a super young woman.
No, she was too old to police me. And she was annoyed with the people, but as soon as I described them as retarded, then she deferred to her woke virtue signaling and trying to impose her will upon me. But we need to go back. This guy just graduated from law school,
right?
And thinks that laws. So how do you explain that breakdown?
I mean, I think we went and kind of clarified that, like I said, there's no laws passed, and he didn't argue with me. Like, he was like, whatever, that he understands that, like, there's all of this, what do they call it? The Uniform Commercial Code or the Criminal Code, whatever it is, and all that kind of stuff. But like, just this idea that you can't say something because there's all this controversy about what people say. The idea that if someone authoritative says it and like they do it on TV, that's like the same as the law, right? I don't think he actually believes that or whatever, nor does she believe that you can't say that. But how comfortable people have become with just assimilating all of those things into like the same vein of restriction as actual laws or whatever it is, right? Like, you can't kill them. You can kill someone, but you're gonna get in trouble, right?
Right.
There are laws. There's things that there are like absolute laws about, and then there's all of this other sort of mumbo jumbo of like acceptable whatever that people just conflate with laws, like it's not, like it's just normal.
Yeah, I mean, the laws are the one piece of it. Like, if someone says something that offends me, which I don't even know what that would be because I don't feel very offendable, I just make a mental note to not talk to them anymore, or this person is racist or whatever it is. But it would never occur to me to police someone else's language, especially when they're an adult human. So right. I don't know when that happened that people thought they needed to police everyone. And what was the most annoying to me, it's really cold today, so I was bundled, but under everything, and I didn't even remember till I got on the court, I was wearing my I Say What I Want t-shirt. And I wish I just
pulled
it up. Totally.
Right? You go on tap dance with it, right? Yeah. No, I mean, what I do think is like something that it was already happening obviously before COVID, but during COVID, like enforcing things that were not laws, but they were trying to tell you they were, gave a lot of people purpose and meaning and whatever it is, and they don't want to let that go.
Yeah, I'm just excited for their myocarditis to kick in. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. They make the world more annoying. They just do. Like, I went the distance, and you know, and everyone knows, I went the distance to help people not inject genocide into their veins. But now that they've made that point and they're continuing to harp on this bullshit, they're making the world more annoying and lame. And it would be better if they would just go away or find an island or do something, but stop policing the rest of us.
You're on one today, dear.
I'm annoyed. It's murder out there, and everyone's masked to the max right now. I'm just like so annoyed with libtardia.
Wait, did you just say everybody is masked?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the masks are back in full effect.
Nice. For what, bird flu? Since there was like one case in California, is that what's happening?
I maybe it's protests against the. I don't know. I don't understand the machinations
But
of the
instead of the
melted
pussy hat
minds.
this time, they're using the mask of the protest.
Something.
Oi. All right. Well, yeah, it's been a week. So we recorded on Monday. There will be a new episode available in the next few days of our regular Words podcast, which if you haven't checked out, you should do so at wordspodcast.locals.com. Promo code welcome to words, all one word in capital. And we were both in a condition on Monday that we did not think we would be in today. And that is that Dani is not feeling well and my father's in the hospital. So we rallied on Monday and we're rallying again today. So we are here, if a little extra, I don't know. I have a few clips, probably not as many as I would normally have, but I've been doing the family dance on the telephone all afternoon. So
I appreciate our parallel. Like, we were both not really into it on Monday because I was sick, your dad, and we rallied, and we're still in the exact same place. So we have fewer clips, but I think it's good because it'll give us more time to speak about the things. And I don't have a clip about it, but I'd like to launch the conversation, and I would love for the chat to weigh in as well. But I have seen in the past week or two all of this hullabaloo about how we need social media censorship and all this fake kind of controversy around it, as though we are not under social media censorship, have not been under social media censorship, as though the Twitter files never happened. It's like this new collective delusion, but we see the people who allegedly get it all of a sudden be mind wiped and arguing why we can't have government censorship when we have had it for the past, 5, 6, 12 years?
So,
it's
okay.
so weird to me.
Just so I can clarify, like, which thread of that you are actually speaking about. Like, I've seen a couple of videos where, like, the people from Morning Joe and CNN and Axios are complaining that citizen journalists and alternative media journalists aren't really journalists, that they aren't news or whatever. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about some people in the alternative media who are now jumping on board with the idea of censorship?
So it's Jen Psaki saying what's weird to me is everything they're saying that we need is in full effect and has been in full effect. And then I'm seeing people like the Do Dissidents guys or Jimmy Dore or now Justine Bateman, as she's, inserting herself into this sphere, like taking the counterpoint as though we haven't been living under this heavy censorship. Like, it's weird to me, this reputation that Elon Musk has paid for, like, where he's this, defender of free speech when Twitter is so highly censored. I just feel like I slipped into an alternate timeline or something where I'm like, why are we arguing about something that has been happening for years and hasn't gotten any better? The same week that Zuckerberg puts out his ever slavier user agreements, it's like the emperor clearly has no clothes. What is this distraction about? And why are the people that we trusted playing into it?
All right. I have like some degree of brain fog today, but let me see if I can make a point here that works. Okay. So it's kind of like, so there's the idea out there that Donald Trump just did that thing with Matt Gaetz to try and throw the MAGA people a bone, and that he already knew that Matt Gaetz wouldn't be it, and so then he could complain that he could tell the MAGA people, I tried, but the deep state wouldn't let it, and really he wanted Pam Bondi anyway because he's not really any different. So like I think on some levels, like it's kind of like that, right? Like there's this like it's profitable. People get all bent out of shape about this argument about censorship or whatever it is. But do you remember like a couple of years ago when the idea was being floated that like you should have to have like a license or something to be a journalist, that there would be like certain things that like a journalist was allowed to do, and if you weren't quote like a licensed journalist, right? My guess would be, and first of all, like, I don't think we should be even like third parties. They're all in on it. Like they're all part of that blob, right? Yeah. So I think that like this is, you know, I don't believe that there's anybody on the right or in the Trumposphere or whatever that like literally means they want the thing that you or I think of as being free speech.
Right.
And so always having this controversy brewing helps whichever side sort of comes to power, because even if they just allow like one thing that the other side didn't allow to be said, then they can claim to be fighting for you. And the other, this sort of whatever this fucking is, whatever this like war of words. I guess the other thing is Elon Musk is like either joking or being serious about buying MSNBC. Right?
I don't even care. Like it doesn't matter, because he's not, anyone who believes he's a good guy who's working for the side of the good doesn't get it.
Right. But I'm starting to think that even a lot of these people who are highly paid operatives are like not read in on the current state of whatever the ops are, because they're saying some really dumb shit. Like I was watching a horrible video today where two ass clowns basically were impugning Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and rightfully so, for still in 2024, making the claim that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset and blah, blah, blah.
I heard that as well.
Right. But then like literally, like they're like, that's a ridiculous argument. And here we're now going to have a sane debate between two people who have differing opinions on Tulsi Gabbard. Right.
Oh, was this the guy wearing the Yoko John Lennon t-shirt? Yes, I saw that.
That was like that was one of the most batshit conversations. Now, like Batya Ungar Sargon, maybe I got the order of her names wrong. Like the point that she was making about like the Ukraine situation is like kind of reasonable, except for when you already know what her position is on Israel and Islamic terrorists and all of this kind of stuff. Then it's like hard to take her seriously, because there's no consistency in her application of whatever these ideas are. But she didn't say anything like insane. But the arguments that he was making as to why Tulsi Gabbard is a bad choice are even more insane. Like there's a million good reasons why a person could say we don't, and I made lots of them the other day. Actually, there was a really good video that came out this week that got removed from YouTube that came out like the day before yesterday. It was like over an hour of Kim Iverson and Michael Tracy talking about the issues around Tulsi Gabbard. And I feel like it's the perfect companion to the episode we recorded the other day, which was mostly about the issues with Tulsi Gabbard. It was like, theirs was like when I say above board, I don't mean that theirs is legitimate and ours is not, but theirs were like a conversation just around sort of evidence from like the known public media sphere. There was not any, sort of MK Ultra synchromysticism, intuitive noosphere type of analysis going on, which is what we were giving it. But I feel like it's a perfect companion. So when I post our show that we recorded the other day, I'm going to link that in the description for people to check out, because it was like, I thought
you just said it was taken down.
It was taken down from YouTube. It's still on Rumble.
Okay,
So
got it.
I'll connect it. And like, I think he made really good points. Like, I think there's a few things that maybe I would have added to what he said that I feel like he doesn't know all the things about her, but all the things he said were pretty interesting. But I felt like it was like for someone who doesn't want to hear any quote conspiracies or any quote extra information, like he offered like a deadpan analysis of the problem, which was pretty good. And Kim had interesting things to say too, and it goes great with our sort of more esoteric analysis that we gave the other day. But my point with this was that any of the reasons offered from that guy with the Yoko Ono shirt on, it was like, what reality are you living in?
Well, no, it was completely crazy. And I mean, I feel like the Tulsi thing is perfectly comparable to the free speech thing.
Yes.
These are all pointless theatrics.
Yes.
Like the free speech thing is being set up for Donald Trump to actually rescind freedom of speech as a compromise because of all this. And if we pull back to high level, whether you like Tulsi or don't like Tulsi, she's a military veteran and a congresswoman. There's literally no controversy in a real way as to why this person should be given a cabinet position. People might not like her, but all of this hullabaloo is so lame.
Yes.
It's so lame. And I think it's being set up so like, okay, they'll give Tulsi a pass, but RFK is going to have to go. Right?
Well, someone did make in that conversation about why Debbie what's crazy is they did such a good job impugning Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and then they fell into some other ridiculous sphere of whatever that was. But they made the great point that Tulsi Gabbard also obviously has top secret clearance because she's worked in intelligence and special operations and psyops. So she has been cleared by whatever offices checks people out. So if you're saying she's a Russian asset, you're saying our government is not capable of vetting somebody to be involved in psychological operations. And so like that, it was like most insane argument, right?
It's
now, I'm
not
not saying
of nothing burgers. Like literally nothing. You might not like her, and that's one thing. But all of this is so much ado about literally nothing.
Yeah. I like that. Nothing ado about nothing burgers. Much ado. What did you say? Much ado about nothing. What did you say?
Well, I said this is much ado about literally nothing, but we could say much ado about nothing burgers.
Something about nothingness of nothing burgers.
This is the nothingest of nothing burgers.
The nothingest of nothing burgers. I gotcha. Okay.
I'm writing this down for a show title.
Nothing burger with cheese. Something like that, right? There we go. All right. But yeah, okay. I completely forget where we were going. Oh, the free speechy, whatever it is thing. No, the whole thing is like you do this sort of like way overshooting so you can walk back a little bit, and then that inch that you walk back helps people to forget about the foot that was taken from them.
Yes, exactly. And this is all clearly a setup for the Trump administration to once again crack down on freedom of speech.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be done with the Israel thing. Like that's the way that they're going to do it. Is it's going to be like that lunatic Bondi chick is like the students are literally pro Hamas.
Okay, so I have a clip. That's the clip. Should I share my Bondi clip?
Like she's insane. And first of all, she talks like she's like a teenager. Like it was really weird to listen to her. But I'm like,
she looks exactly like his press secretary pick.
Yeah. They're
weird. Like twinsies.
They come from the Stepford factory.
Yeah, like these twin Barbies.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready for me to play my first clip?
Do it.
Okay, so full disclosure, YouTube is giving me all kinds of hell, and so it'll be a miracle if this works.
Okay.
It's sharing.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Okay, fair use. Here we go.
A Bondi-led Justice Department would almost certainly shield Musk and Tesla from federal scrutiny. Wow, man. That is making America great again right there. So, but that's not all, folks. So Trump's incoming AG, Pam Bondi, says American students who protest Israel should be taken out of the country or subject to FBI interviews. Let's see that video.
Using the right weight matters.
Apparently, YouTube thinks I'm fat and need a scale.
Democrats like Alan Dershowitz have sounded the alarm over the growing virulent strain of Jew haters in the Democrat Party. It appears their agents in the unfair press are carrying that water.
Can you believe he actually just said that phrase? Jew haters in 2024?
Right.
Like legit? Okay, continuing.
It is dangerous, is it not?
Yeah, it's very dangerous, Chris. It's extremely.
How leading was that question? Let me tell you what, in case you didn't get your script ahead of time, Pam, I'm just going to form the question so that you don't have to utilize a single brain cell.
Right.
Dangerous. And, you know, you look around, the thing that's really the most troubling to me, these students in universities in our country, whether they're here as Americans or if they're here on student visas, and they're out there saying, I support Hamas. You and I have seen that on all of these television shows. Frankly, they need to be taken out of our country, or the FBI needs to be interviewing them right away when they're saying, I support Hamas, I am Hamas. That's not saying I support all these poor Palestinians who are trapped in Gaza. That's not what they're saying.
Okay, well, yes, that is what they're saying.
Oh, it's not?
That's exactly what they're saying. And as for the other...
Have you ever heard anyone say, I am Hamas, I support Hamas?
No, never. And I've seen a ton of people who are against the war and say that they support Palestine and Palestinian people, but I've never heard that.
Yeah, I've never heard it. I've never seen one of the signs. Never. Like, and like my sister works at a college where there were really aggressive protests, and then the college and the city cracked down on them, and she's been involved in like meetings about what to do about this since, because it seems that like the new president of the college is in bed with the lobby and took money, all that kind of stuff. So she's been in the fight trying to, right? I haven't heard or seen any video clips or heard any story, nothing like that. They're like, right? It's so delusional. Like we shouldn't, like it's kind of, I was sharing an unfortunate personal story with you before we got started today.
Yep.
About something happening within my family. Sometimes people say and do things that let you know that their sense of reality is not what, you know, not sort of in line on some level with like the sort of, not the consensus of what we should think, but like, you know, where the walls in the room are and stuff like that, right? And when someone says something like that, this is an issue when you have people in power who are saying things that are like completely delusional, right? If one was saying, I think it's not okay for people to support Palestine, right? Then you could say, okay, people are supporting Palestine, you're right, and it's fine for you to have your opinion and think that that's not okay. But they're like literally saying something that is batshit crazy and that no one is doing.
Right, but I refer back, yes, and to Thomas Massey's Tucker interview where she clearly has her AIPAC handler.
Right.
And she's clearly been given her insane Israel talking points because they're always insane. And even if I did hear people saying, I support Hamas, I am Hamas, that's legal and protected in this country.
You could probably find something like unappealing that someone actually said. And if you came and said that, at least you weren't saying an untrue thing, right? Like you
but all of the talking points around Israel are untrue.
It's true. They're all delusional. They're all delusional.
They're not concerned with truth on any level.
This is correct. I have no argument against that. But this kind of goes to the thing we were talking about. My brain is so foggy right now. We had a conversation in our show yesterday, on Monday, about the difference between when we're talking about fact checking and wanting to know if these fact checking organizations, what they consider to be, you know, how they define truth. Is our facts something that are actually true, or are facts something that the consensus of the consensus of democratic institutions? Like it feels like it's like that kind of thing, right? Like they're the talking points or the things that people sort of are doing this with, like it's not any way grounded in reality, in any form of reality. And so I don't understand. This is the thing that I don't understand. And this goes for lots of other topics as well. When you could make a really good argument with something that is actually happening, even if I disagree with what you're saying, my opinion is different than yours. When you argue it with like the stupidest possible stuff, right? Then it's just, I don't know. It makes me tired.
I feel like in the same way that they changed the definition of anti-Semitism to now include criticism of Israel, it's like they're changing the definition of all of their terms behind the scene. If there were any transparency in these theatrics, they would at least put out a glossary of terms on the government website so that we could track their lies and try to make sense of them.
I don't think that went well for them during COVID. Right, because people went back and searched on the Wayback Machine and saw that, like, wait a second, like a few days ago, the definition of pandemic or quacksine or whatever was this, and now it's this. And so,
are you kidding me? All those people were deplatformed. They don't give a shit.
No, I understand that, but that's why they don't publish glossaries of terms anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, we can't have any transparency in our faux democracy.
My brain feels fried. Like I was not able to make the point I was trying to make. Sorry. Like I've been in hospital talk all day. And my brain is just not firing on any cylinders. So excuse the absolute thud that it hit with.
You're doing great.
Anywho. All right. So since we're on Israel, and do dissidents, let's go to my clip. All right, here we go. Thanks again to our friends at Do Dissidents. Here we go.
Bit about Javier Milei and Viktor Orban, all these anti-woke crusaders who make an exception for Israel to exempt them from the arrest warrant of the International Criminal Court. Candace Owens dropped this video here where she goes a step further than she ever has to my knowledge. I'll admit I'm not a regular viewer of her content, but she goes as far here as to essentially disavow the woke right, from which she was formerly associated with, at least if you consider Ben Shapiro to be part of that movement, which, as I understand, he is included by people who have coined the term. So here is Candace Owens going off on the woke right, really speaking as strongly on the Israel-Palestine issue and the Gaza genocide as I've ever heard her speak.
Of children, innocent children slaughtered, the numbers now above tens of thousands of children that have been slaughtered, is not only an American value, it's a conservative value, it is a Christian value. And to the hypocrites and the spineless people who can't say that, they have no place in our future government. I truly do believe that. And that's why I say this unabashedly. I just can't believe, I cannot believe what I am seeing today of people pretending this is about anti-Semitism. Like, if somebody else was in there, no one would be saying anything. Like, yeah, no, I'm sure if Putin was in Israel and had murdered 20,000 children, everyone would just be chill. Because this is really just about the fact that they're Jewish. I mean, it is just mind-blowing. It really is. The dishonesty, the deception, the Western media smearing and libeling anybody who has a soul and the decency to say that children should not be murdered like this. Water should not be cut off. Electricity should not be cut off. You have Doctors Without Borders saying they've never seen anything like this. They went over there. They've been in multiple war zones, saying that, writing pieces, op-eds, saying this is not a war zone. This is not a war zone. This is a genocide. Everybody's just conspiring to hate Jews. I mean, it's pointedly ridiculous, and it is really telling when even Israeli publications are saying that calling this anti-Semitism is a joke. It just is a joke, and I am proud of myself for being on the right side of this thing, and I'm embarrassed. I am so embarrassed that I ever had anything to do with the woke right. I didn't know they were woke on this issue. Like, it took October 7th and all of this happening for me to see their true colors, and I am so embarrassed I had anything to do with these people. I really am, and I will not allow them to forget this. I will not allow them to forget that they stood on platforms, called themselves pro-life, called themselves anti-woke, collected money, went out to donors, asked for investments. And then when it actually mattered, they shirked. They shirked their responsibility. They completely cowered. And to think that the majority of people are men, it's even more sickening to me, to be honest with you. It's even more sickening.
طيب اليوم هو يوم الطفل العالمي. انت ايش بتعرف عن حقوق الطفل؟ أكتر حاجة.
No one believed it at first, but now everyone wants one. A custom.
Oh, can we keep
It's a
it on?
great video. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great video. And, just one thing, because she says, this should offend every conservative value and every Christian value. And I think that's true. It should offend a family value. Like, if this is the party of family. This is the political ideology that stresses
our families,
importance. Yeah, our family. Right. Yeah, exactly. White Western families. This is the party that preaches the importance of the family unit and the nuclear family. This is a genocide of the family. This is a genocide of women and children. The UN just did a report. The number one age demographic in terms of deaths is 5 to 9. 5 to 9. And when you add up the three different age demographics, 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, that is by far the largest death demographic cohort. It's sickening to say. Also, males and females being killed in pretty much equal number. They don't count little girls as women. So the way it breaks down is 44% of the deaths are children, 30% of the deaths are men, and 26% of the deaths are women. But among children, boys and girls killed pretty much equally when you look at the data. So this is an assault on the family to have these anti-woke family values, Christian values, conservative values, fucking posers run their mouths about how much they value God and faith and family and hearth and home. To be cheering this on, yeah, it's absolutely despicable on their own terms. It is in violation of their own premise as a commentator in this space, as a journalist, as an advocate for whatever they are advocates for. And yeah, she should not let them forget that. And I hope it's a bit of a wake-up call for her. And I would like to see her say something about Donald Trump on this front too, because he is about to continue this, and she obviously has it in her to stick her neck out in a certain way. So I hope she goes further, but that's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to hear what she has to say about all of these picks and about the rhetoric coming out of Trump and his cabinet about all of this stuff. But I like that video of her.
I like that video of her. It didn't sit well with me that she said she was proud of herself. That was a little odd. Like, why would you be proud of speaking what is true and right and just?
I think that the amount of what for her is pressure coming from, because she has a huge operation and she's a huge star in this space. And so this is not me saying that this is noble, right, on some level. But like, if someone comes and tries to put pressure on you or I about all the things we might lose for speaking out, it's like, fuck you, get lost, right? She has like an entire reality that is built upon, her, all of these people helped make her a star on some level. And all of them are connected in a network that controls the ascent of people in a certain space. And she's choosing to just never again with these people by the words that she says, right? And I think for some people, by the nature of their personalities or by just the fact that whatever they have is a lot more to lose than whatever you and I have, it's hard for them. Was also a whole social scene for her, right? So through this process, she's lost most of her friends, all of her, sort of professional network. And that wasn't my life the way it is now. It wouldn't be a hard decision to make. And I'd like to think that if I were ever in her position, which I don't think I ever will be, it would still not be a hard decision for me to make. But I don't know that that's true. And I think she's a person who has enjoyed being a famous person, who has enjoyed being like this kind of disruptor that then was turned into a hero by this other side and whatnot. And so she's probably had to come to terms with certain things about herself and how she sees about herself and the kind of attention she likes to receive and from who and all that kind of stuff, that probably has been a little bit more of an exercise for her than it might be for some other people.
Maybe. So the part that I like is that we have this like Christian conversion op going, and I like that she's calling out the hypocrisy of that op. But again, going back, like, I like Candace back when she was Red Pill Black or Black Girl Red or whatever it was called,
Yeah.
when she had a little YouTube channel.
Right.
But in the past 4, almost 5 years now, has it ever occurred to you to be proud of yourself for just standing for truth? That would never enter my mind. In the same way the IDW talks about how smart they are, it was just this one piece that my spidey sense was like, why would you even say that? Why would pride be on your radar?
So like, again, for me, no, but for me, like, one thing that she's really good at that I struggle with more is standing up for herself. She's very good at standing up for herself.
Yeah. And
sometimes I struggle with that. So there have been times where I do something that like I know is right, but it's really difficult for me. And it's like, I've had that moment of like feeling proud of myself for dealing with that moment, that hour, that day, that week, or whatever of discomfort with whoever it is, whether it be a boss at work or a friend or a family member. So maybe for her, it's that, like, I don't know. But I think maybe, I think she is really like into her career. Like, I know other people like this who care about more about their career than they do about other things.
Yeah.
And for her, I think like her main thing has been her career. And I think she decided, at least so far as it looks so far, we will see what happens with her, in the next few years. And maybe this was all just a setup for something else. Who the fuck knows? But it looks like she really did choose to take a stand at the risk of losing out on a lot of professional and financial opportunities.
She has 3.15 million subscribers. I'm just saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Like, I don't actually have an opinion here, but I don't think her career, 3.1 million. I don't know how much she was being paid by
She had a multi-million-dollar contract with.
But isn't her husband like super rich? I mean, didn't they bilk a bunch of people on the Patriot phone? I just wonder how, I just don't trust anyone who's this famous on YouTube isn't allowed to say all the shit that you and I get strikes for. I don't get that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's completely fair. So yes, in one reality, like completely what you're saying, yes. And like in another reality where there's like some amount of her that is human in the same way that we are human, sometimes like not doing the current thing with the rest of your friends can be like, especially if it's like the first time you've done it in a way that like actually was risking something, where the other times when you did it, you already knew there was like this open arms of people waiting for you type of thing. I don't know. I can't speak. Like, I've had lots of judgments about her in the past. I don't know what her main motivation is. But yeah, I agree with you. I thought the same thing initially, and then I sort of thought about it. But how she feels about, like, I'm so embarrassed that I ever had anything to do with these people. Like, I feel embarrassed that I ever listened to some of these people and like gave any of my time and ear to ideas that they were talking about or whatever, because they have just absolutely beclowned themselves. And yeah, like I was like even thinking about this today when I knew I was going to play this clip, that like I also fell for the temptation of the satisfaction of hearing someone say something that you already know is true, but it's satisfying to hear someone, with the bigger platform or more famous than you or blah, whatever it is, confirm the thing you already know. I don't know what like dumb human shortcoming that is, that we need to hear it from other people before, I don't know what it is, but yeah. So.
Well, because we're all part of this collective, right? And it is validating. And even to this day, there are moments where I'm like, am I crazy? Did I get all this wrong? Because if you're pushing up against consensus reality so hard and so consistently, I think that a sane person is going to question ourselves. Yeah. But I'd be curious from the chat to know, like, all of us who have known what's up and stood our ground and had integrity for the past 5 years, has it ever occurred to us to be proud for simply doing the right thing? And maybe it's just me and my perspective, but it's never That has never crossed my mind. It's just so obvious. You know, if you're standing behind an old lady and she drops a 50, you're going to bend over, pick it up, and hand it to her. Are you going to be proud? Are you going to brag about it? Are you going to give yourself a fucking brownie button? It's like, no, it's the right thing to do. So that for me was just a little bit odd. That was the one piece that was like a little bit of sand in my shoe.
In some weird way, this is like the first time that she's like ever really, quote, done the right thing despite pressure. I don't know, right? I don't know. I did have a thing happen to me today.
Wait, I just want to mention one more thing, if I may, because she's so Christian and she's all about her Christian. And remember, that was a shift. At some point in her career, she pivoted and did that same thing everyone does. I'm not very Bible-y, but I'm pretty sure pride is one of the 7 sins.
Yeah.
So it just, again, it's just that thing that like doesn't fit.
I think it's a reasonable point. And also, like, everyone's human and not everything we do fits with everything else we do. I had a thing happen today that was kind of interesting. I had to run out and get something from the store while I was at work. We were short on something. And when I was putting stuff in the trunk of my car, like an older woman came up and tapped me, and she was deaf, right? And she couldn't find her car, and she can't hear it by pushing the button. So she asked me if I would. She could speak. She was a deaf person that could speak. She asked me if I would find her card for her, and I wasn't proud of myself for helping her, but it felt nice that I was the person in the parking lot that she felt safe to ask, right? Yeah. She was very cute, right? Yeah, she was very sweet, right? So like maybe it's like something along the lines of that she's really trying to express. I would never have said I'm proud of myself for helping the lady in the parking lot, but it made me feel good to help her, made me feel good, but also that like that I'm the person that she kind of chose to right? I don't know why, but it did. For today, it made me feel good in an otherwise shitty day. So yeah, maybe it was something like that. But I am embarrassed. I am embarrassed that I ever gave any of my ear time to Konstantin Kisin or Douglas Murray or Ben Shapiro. Mostly I didn't listen to those people, but
we didn't know at the time. We didn't know that they were full of shit. We thought that they were what they were presenting themselves to be.
Ben Shapiro, I always knew was full of shit, but it was like satisfying to hear him say true things so fast and in that like, facts don't care about your feelings way. All those people, like, but mostly like now when I'm listening to them, like these people were never smart. Like, how did I become so desperate for someone to say something sane that I was willing to like listen to these ass clowns, right?
Because living through COVID was legit psychological torture for every single one of us.
We were listening to them before COVID.
Yeah, but watching the world go crazy, go woke crazy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the extent of this fuckery, of this giant psyop, I don't think we realize because we're still in it and we do this show to keep ourselves sane. Right. That's why, do you know what I'm saying? So like I don't think we even realize the extent of trauma that we're still going through. So I think at that point to hear someone say the things, and they were kind of the first, right. Like I'm giving us a pass for being soothed by that, because this is fucking crazy. This is the craziest apocalypse because it's all some weird gay mindfuck.
I love how you always say it's your first apocalypse, but now you also say it's the craziest one.
But when we read about other apocalypses, like there was a flood or there was a war or there was a famine or like there was a thing. This is all like abstractions and memes and pretending.
Yeah. Okay. More clips. What do you have? I have only one more clip. What's your other? My clip is a Glenn Greenwald clip. What do you have?
Mine is the Richard Dawkins and Jordan Peterson and Brett.
Since they're part of that group of people we were just whining about, let's have a moment with them. Go ahead.
All right. This is just a little fluffy, and you and I both you watched this, right?
I watched a little bit of this conversation, not this segment, right? Not this segment. I listened to some of the other parts. I can't like last week. But I listened to Brett and Richard Dawkins. I sent you a clip of Brett and Richard Dawkins a few weeks ago.
Oh, was that okay?
And that was hilarious because it felt like, so Brett was arguing with Richard Dawkins about evolution.
Yeah.
All of Brett's arguments felt like trying to make the case for why women should choose him. And Richard Dawkins was looking at him and just like not buying any of it. It was fucking hilarious. And so that conversation obviously had a lasting impression on Brett. And now he's trying to do the thing he does where he explains somehow how he's smarter than Richard Dawkins. And so is Jordan Peterson. I love it. Go ahead.
So it's interesting, before I play the clip, of how neither Brett nor Eric can handle it if other people who they respect don't like them.
Right.
And it's interesting to see how they carry that.
Right.
But that conversation with Richard Dawkins, which I didn't bring a clip of, but you and I talked about on one of our long form shows, one of the SFI talks, where they're attempting to purport that like narrative is more important than science and biology.
Correct.
Right. And that like biology doesn't work without the context of the psyops being deployed upon the public and the fictions that the public is supposed to buy into because of the psyops.
Right.
That was a general sense I got. All right. So
well, remember Eric with Chris Williamson saying we need better lies. We need better stories.
He said it on like a dozen podcasts.
Fairy tales for adults.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. All right. And I should be King Liar.
Right.
Okay. So fair use. Here we go.
Much from reading his books.
So let me back up a little bit.
Psychedelic Peterson view where there's a lot more, he would say it's not just about matter, but what matters, things like this, that the domain of significance and symbolism, et cetera. What are your views? And these are both very popular gentlemen.
Yep.
On the intellectual dark web, where you yourself are very popular. What are your views on the spectrum between these two thinkers?
Well, there is a tragedy in motion, right? These guys need.
I just want to pause. The stupidity of calling them thinkers. We're all thinkers. Literally, unless you're brain dead or a vegetable, we're all thinkers.
Right? The term public thinker is like, because everyone else only thinks when they're in private. Like, what the?
Okay.
Right?
Need to have a meeting of the minds. I am a huge fan of Dawkins. I've learned so much from reading his books. He is not much a fan of mine, I will say. In fact, Peterson suggested that I should moderate their discussion, and Dawkins would have none of it, which is a terrible thing because I understand both of their perspectives quite well, and there's a watershed moment waiting to happen if Dawkins can hear Peterson. Dawkins has a block. In The Selfish Gene, Dawkins, in chapter 11, introduces the concept of the meme. This is the on-ramp to understanding human beings because there is something very special about us at the level of cultural evolution. And so chapter 11 is a very important moment scientifically because it opens the door to us understanding ourselves. But Dawkins himself makes an error, which is, something we all do, and has failed to correct it to this day. So that was 1976 when he published it. The error comes in the form of his claim that memes exist in a new primeval soup. That's his phrase, a new primeval soup. So he imagines that we have genetic evolution, and then genetic evolution has somehow given rise to this whole new landscape where new kinds of creatures can evolve. This is not right.
Oh, so he doesn't see the continuum between biological and cultural.
Right.
Okay.
Cultural evolution is the gene's solution to a gene problem, right? Culture works better because it evolves faster.
Yeah.
So genes have solved a limitation on their own rate of evolution and their own rate of adaptation by offloading the adaptive work to the cultural layer.
Right.
Now, the problem for Dawkins is that once you spot that the meme layer is not some new primeval soup, it's actually some hyper-sophisticated layer in which what it means to be a human being is being altered without changing genes. We are adapting without evolving at a genetic level. We are evolving culturally without our genes having to be involved in the change. Well, then you realize something. That when we look at the structures that we find that are the product of cultural evolution, they are not new creatures. They are features of the animal in question. So when we look at a religion, which is really the place that I think Dawkins is blocked, when we look at a religion, we are looking at a structure that ought to have the same meaning to an evolutionary biologist as an eye or a leaf or a hair follicle.
I see.
Right? It's an adaptation.
Yeah. Right.
And that drives a guy like Dawkins crazy.
Right.
Because I think as a very young man, he realized there's no being in the sky. And that realization has blocked him from further realizations, which are those who have this belief in the being in the sky apparently have an advantage over the people who know that there isn't one. How does that work exactly? Why would believing something that isn't true advantageous? Now, as far as Peterson goes, I just
want to pause because the arrogance of that statement, I feel like he topped himself.
Yeah.
That's peak Weinstein arrogance right there.
Right.
He can definitively claim that those who believe in a higher power are flat out wrong. He knows that.
Right.
I'm curious to know the formula or process by which he's proven that.
I also love how he's like, he as the person who knows that, right, is critiquing probably the quote most famous person who quote knows that.
Yep.
And who is the one who like helped him in his knowingness of that.
Yes.
Right. So the whole thing, like this is also typical of him and his brother, right? They are certain that they are more clever than their heroes. Certain of it.
The chutzpah in the way that they put it forth, it's not like the way that I see it, or this doesn't resonate with, he's blocked, he's wrong.
Right.
It's
not like some fucking Scientology shit. Like that person is suppressive. Stay away from them.
I wonder if they are Scientologists.
Well, there's a huge Scientology connection to all of that, like alt media cartel, wellness collective, wellness company kind of shit, right? Like that's like old school Josh Reeves spellcasters shit. Yeah.
Do we want to continue to hear him tell us why Peterson's superior?
No.
Okay.
I'm good on that. But just it's like it's just when you think because he's yet again been embarrassed into having to address one of your and I's or a handful of other people's true and substantive critiques of his bullshit, that like maybe he'll temper it a little bit. He always just like completely jumps the shark every fucking time.
I mean, in a sense, it's kind of admirable that he's consistent in his delusional intellectual superiority.
Yeah.
Wow. I will say more and more people on Twitter are critiquing him more hardcore. And this guy, and I don't even remember his username, but so you know that picture that Whitney Webb posted of Brett with the red bandana and the goggles? So this guy took a picture of himself wearing the same outfit, and now it's his profile picture. I freaking love it.
I love it. And somebody gave gave us a 1999 super chat. Thanks, B.
Thank you, B. Thank you.
Okay. So yes, she said thanks for helping her. Boxer MK says thanks for helping me not feel so alone during COVID. You are most welcome. Okay, you ready for my clip?
Yes.
So it seems that the message was finally delivered via folded note to Glenn Greenwald that People were starting to notice that he never asks questions about Peter Thiel or whatever it is, and so I will let my delusion of grandeur think somehow that this is a response to our ongoing critiques of him on that count. Here we go. All right. So this was he does like questions for his locals community, and then sometimes he posts them on YouTube also.
Who courts don't immediately say release him because he's done nothing wrong. What they did to him was bad enough, and you can just imagine what they're doing when nobody's looking. So we're going to put the link into the chat for those of you who haven't been able to see it, but it is on the locals website, and we're going to probably put it on the Rumble show sometime next week. All right, here are the questions. The first one is from Kay.
Please.
Oh man.
Oh, this guy. This guy.
Urge
this
Congress
whole
to
ad
make
campaign
assault
is so fucking offensive.
Like it's harassment.
It is harassment. If your kid was really killed, you're not shilling about it.
You're gonna get our theme.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
It's annoying to me that like after all these years, like we're still, I don't know. I've never met somebody like my brother was killed with a gun, and I'm not making commercials about it and stuff like that, right? So it's just like it's annoying. Okay.
Quote, are you concerned that the tech oligarchs backing Trump, like Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, Elon Musk, believe in this transhumanist, techno-capitalist vision of the future? Yeah, that does concern me a little bit. I do think that there is a concern that's very valid, just in general, leaving those individual people aside for the moment, that in order to run this time, Donald Trump needed money because he has been so swamped with criminal proceedings as well as civil litigation. Remember that lawsuit that Letitia James brought against the Trump Organization in New York, which I think is going to be overturned on appeal based on the appellate court hearing, but for now it isn't, was a $100 million, multi-$100 million judgment against Trump Organization. In order to appeal it, he was required to put up a bond of several $100 million. He doesn't have the money that he did the first time in order to fund the campaign. And so he really had to rely upon very, very wealthy people. Remember Trump's original
I don't understand the cutaway.
in 2016 was...
So Glenn Greenwald has a nonprofit organization that rescues dogs in Brazil, and he has 100 dogs on his property. And every time he does one of these question and answer things, he has doggy co-hosts.
Okay, got it.
It's like a thing with his audience, right?
Okay, thank you.
I don't have to rely on anybody. I don't need funding from anybody. I'm rich enough to fund myself. And all these other people here are captive to lobbyists and donors. This time, Trump relied on the funding of Miriam Adelson for $130 million, Elon Musk for another $130 million, Timothy Mellon for, I think, $180 million, people like Bill Ackman. And so those people are going to be looking for things in return in exchange for that money. And Trump, if anything, if nothing else, is a businessman, and he understands how that transactional relationship works. So that does concern me already, although obviously the Democrats have exactly the same sorts of problems. Nonetheless, that's one of the things that Trump boasted about early on. Now, I do think it's going to be interesting to see whether or not both Trump and Elon Musk can coexist in the same world, given all the attention and the power that Elon Musk wants, the attention that he wants. He met today with the Iranian foreign minister to try and smooth over U.S.-Iranian relations. So we'll see how much of that relationship proceeds, but a lot of these people, these donors, paid money like Bill Ackman and Miriam Adelson and others to ensure loyalty to Israel. And I think if there's one thing you can count on, it's that the Trump administration is going to be extremely pro-Israel. But as I talked last night, we'll see what the impact is. I'm not sure that it can be much worse than what the current administration is. As for the individuals involved, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and Mark Andreessen, they do have this very kind of extreme, transhumanist, technologically dependent version of humanity. Now, the only thing I would say is, and I actually had a conversation with a few people today, including a couple who are in the running for a couple of nominations is that the reality is that even if, I think this is the argument being made from Matt Gaetz, is that the U.S. government is such a gigantic entity that I remember actually President Obama, after a year in office, described it using this metaphor, and I always remembered it because I thought it was accurate when he was being pressured or questioned about why he hasn't brought in the kinds of change that he had promised. People were very disappointed, and he said, look, the U.S. government is like this gigantic naval vessel. It's like massive cruise ship. And you can't just turn the wheel and have it turn around in, 90 degrees or 180 degrees in a short period of time. You just have to keep redirecting it slowly, and eventually it'll start going on a slightly different course more and more. Now, Obama didn't even put it on a slightly different course, but even if Trump and all...
That's not true. Obama turned it on a horrible commie course in a big way.
So I think he's talking about the things that Obama promised that would have been helpful. He didn't do those.
Okay, but let's not pretend that he didn't absolutely change the direction in which our country is going.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with your point, but I think he's trying to address the issue like, why didn't Obama do the things that he promised on the campaign trail?
It sounds like he's trying to rationalize.
What it sounds like to me mostly is he's doing as best he can to not answer about Peter Thiel.
Correct.
All these people that he's nominated get on top of these agencies, they're going to have so much pushback. It's kind of like the Empire Strikes Back. I mean, we saw that in the first term. There's not going to be this smooth path that Trump gets in and Elon Musk is there and they just want to do all these radical things without having courts and media and finance and, the establishment wings of both parties there to push back in all sorts of ways. So would I want Mark Andreessen, Peter Thiel, and Elon Musk's vision of the future to be instantly implemented? No, I think there's huge dangers to it and huge concerns. But I don't think the U.S. government is susceptible to that kind of rapid transformation. What I think more than anything is that this swamp, this blob, this foreign policy apparatus, and this government apparatus.
I don't understand why he's saying this. Our current administration got rid of all borders and started gifting money and shelter and cell phones to millions of illegal immigrants. How can he say that they cannot make drastic changes? That doesn't even make sense.
I'm still on, he's really not answering the questions that are being asked. Right. So I'll let you handle that part of it. I'm going to handle my part when he's done.
Okay.
Has been firmly embedded and entrenched for so many decades. And it just kind of ossifies every year that goes by, that anything that uproots it and shakes it up and moves it around and makes it uncomfortable, I think that's inherently good. I've always viewed that as the primary promise of Trump, the primary value of him. I think we played the video where Jeremy Scahill quoted Seymour Hersh describing Trump as a circuit breaker. Somebody just kind of comes in and finally, uproots things and just kind of makes them unhinged and detached from this root that has grown for so many decades, like cutting down these gigantic trees, and then finally something else can grow in their place. So it's obviously a risky strategy, but I find it hard to imagine how it could be worse than the bipartisan status quo in Washington.
Glenn, I'm going to help you out here. The appropriate answer would have been, yes, I am disturbed by their, transhumanist, techno-fascist leanings. But what we should be more concerned about is that these people are collecting all of our data and they claim to be libertarians while performing surveillance for the government on everything you do. Well, let's talk about that. That would have been the right answer. Was that like he felt so uncomfortable having to answer that question?
But he didn't answer that question.
Right? So he went to all of this other stuff and it's like,
so tell us you're funded by Peter Thiel without telling us you're funded by Peter Thiel.
They're most famous for revealing to us that the government, through private contractors, is spying on everything we do. And here someone asks you about the lizard that is continuing the project and you have nothing to say about it.
Wow.
Remember when I critiqued Peter Thiel's appearance on Joe Rogan, and then later on with Barry Weiss, and I was like, so he needed a glass of water and a toilet or whatever it is. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Mark Andreessen was on Joe Rogan this week too, and he also needs a fucking glass of water. I wasn't the only one to say that in the comment section this time. Like, I only listened to one clip because it was too painful. All of the he needs water. I guess that lizards don't drink water, and they also don't care that people are bothered by the fact that I watched one like 12 or 13 minute clip about whether Elon and Vivek with the Department of Doge would be able to fix the government or whatever. And I was like, that was the most painful 13 minutes of my life. Like, I can't listen to any more. But like, I was trying to count. I was trying to estimate a number of how many months it's been since he had a glass of water, right? It was really bad. Okay. All right.
All right, wait, my last one is not a clip. It's a tease and an extension of Words 95, which we recorded this week. Meta put out their new user agreements. And what I want to talk about is not what you and I talked about on Words 95, but I want to draw our attention to this so we know what we're dealing with. Are you cool with this, Em?
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. All right. So I really encourage people to read through the whole thing, because the audacity of the grossness of these new user agreements are completely next level, especially since now Mark Zuckerberg is supposedly a libertarian, just like Peter Thiel. It'd be interesting to see in the government glossary, we're never going to see how they've redefined that term. But I want to draw our attention to how we will handle disputes. So they already go into, they have, non-exclusive rights to every single thing we post. They can copy it, they can repost it, they can create derivative work about it. We can't do anything about it. But this is how they will handle disputes. You and we agree that any cause of action, legal claim, or dispute between you and us arising out of or related to these terms or Instagram claims must be resolved by arbitration on an individual basis. Class actions and class arbitrations are not permitted. Okay? Instead of using arbitration, you or we can bring claims in your local small claims court if the rules of that court will allow it. If you don't bring your claims in small claims court, then the claims must be resolved by binding individual arbitration. You and we expressly waive, not just waive, but expressly waive a trial by jury, aka a trial of free-thinking, sentient human beings with the capacity for compassion, empathy, and understanding of fairness, etc., etc. Now, there's this opt-out stuff, which I encourage all of us to do. This is what I want to draw our attention to. For any claim that is not arbitrated or resolved in small claims court, how much do we get in small claims court? $500?
Right.
$1,000? Whatever. You agree that it will be resolved exclusively in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, or a state court located in San Mateo County. You also agree to submit to the personal jurisdiction of either of these courts for the purpose of litigating any such claim. The laws of the state of California, to the extent not preempted by or inconsistent with federal law, will govern these terms and any claim without regard to conflict of law provisions. How many Soros judges do you think are running the San Mateo court system?
Well, there's that. And then the other thing is, I was watching this video the other day about some shadowy group of Silicon Valley billionaires who have this front corporation that is going around trying to buy up all of the land just north of San Francisco. And that if people won't sell their land, they're suing them, saying that the people who won't sell them their land are colluding with one another to make sure that they're not able to buy all the land in that area. And they're trying to build their own private libertarian city. And it feels to me like this is like part of that.
Yep. I get to, and the thing with that is that those people have so much, like, let's say the people banded together, those people have endless money to keep this shit tied up in court forever and ever and ever in the way that regular people do not.
Correct. That's like basically what's, the video was very interesting, but that is going on right in that area. And that feels to me like they're starting to try and make room for that.
Yep.
For creating like a city of London or a Vatican City where like certain issues get dealt with that way.
Sounds about right.
That sounds right. You have like the banking sector in London, and so you have the banking corruption there, and you have the religious corruption or whatever in Italy. And Silicon Valley would be the perfect place for the city that is ruled by tech corruption to have all tech disputes decided there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So gross.
I'll see if I can find that video. If I can find that video, I'll post it in the comments later or something like that. All right, let's go to the peanut gallery and see what the kids have to say. All capital letters, please.
Jonah says 5,000 to 10,000 max for small claims.
That's more than I thought. All right.
But when you think of like, have you been fucked with by Facebook? Had stuff deleted, taken down, shadow banned, any of that?
Nope, I hardly use. I mean, I don't do a lot of Facebooking. The only I don't really use Instagram. Like I look at things on Instagram, but I don't post things there. And I haven't been on Twitter since 2018, so I have no idea what about there. So no, the only I've had issues with YouTube and Vimeo, and that's it. And Vimeo deleted my account, so I don't have anything to do with Vimeo anymore. And I've been through, the same annoyances on YouTube that everyone else has been through.
Yep.
Right. And they basically hold you, the main power that they have over you is that gnawing fear in the back that if you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or whatever, but yeah, so, but I haven't had an issue with Facebook, but I don't use it that much. So
Facebook and Instagram, I can without including punitive damages, psychological damages, I guarantee that I've lost way more than $10,000 by way of their censorship fuckery over the past few years. Like, no question. I just put up a post yesterday announcing that my Yes, I Am coloring book, revised, newer, better, infinitely more colorable edition is now on sale. It's gotten 8 views. I have 10,200 followers. This is what they do. Any post that could possibly make me money, consistently, they will shadow ban and suppress.
Yeah, I've had that experience on Facebook before, right? Like certainly where it feels like I noticed for a while that I got more thumbs up or views or whatever if I didn't link to the YouTube video in the post. If instead I just said something nonsensical and then put the YouTube link in the comments.
Yeah.
Right, and then I just stopped caring about that. I've had some of that on that you're saying, like when I'm putting up something that is kind of like, a special for clients or something like that, where it seems like it gets much less distributed. I don't know. I have a hard time spending, I just can't, it makes me more, if I start getting mad about it, then I just get more mad and more mad. So I just kind of ignore it, but.
Agreed. So we just got a super chat that is conditional upon you watching Valley Girl finally.
Well, it looks like I'll be spending more time in Los Angeles next week than I expected because my father is in the hospital. So I will probably have some time to watch the Valley Girl movie. If you have a link to a way I can watch it easily for free, especially on my phone, it'll definitely get watched. But if not, I'll do my best, Jim. Much love to you. Thank you.
It's well worth it. It's the best movie ever.
It's the best movie ever. Maybe
I'm standing by that.
I have this feeling that when I watch it, I'm going to realize that I have watched it in the past. And so, right, that I'll have been saying no all this times when I have seen it. But
I've interviewed Dr. Shiva multiple times. He's a psycho.
Yeah, he's too arrogant. I'm not
Like beyond psycho.
I couldn't do it with him. Yeah, he's too full of himself for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's even more full of himself than Brett is. And he's just frustrated because he thinks he should be getting the amount of attention that Brett gets. And so he's more frustrated than Brett and Eric are.
The first time I interviewed him was like 2014, 2015 about how he invented email and it was all that thing. And then I interviewed him a couple years ago and he wouldn't answer any of my questions. He just had his own talking points and he wouldn't have like a cooperative conversation. And then I it's not that at that point I wasn't going to put it out, but I had other videos in the queue. And then some other account of some Asian girl who he follows started stalking me on Twitter and calling me a woke leftist social justice retard who was too cowardly to put out my interview with Dr. Shiva. So it was clearly a Dr. Shiva fake account. And then I'm like, okay, then I'm not going to put it out.
Yeah.
You win.
That one's easy.
So easy.
Easy peasy. All right. Does anyone else have anything to throw in the pot here? And if not, I think we'll begin our holiday weekend.
I would like to share my gratitude for you, Emily, for our amazing tribe. I don't really celebrate Thanksgiving, but I do feel aligned with the energetic frequencies of gratitude. So thank you guys.
Yeah, Dani, back at you. I love doing this with you. I love seeing you guys here in the chat room every week and just having a good time with us and making light of this like absolutely absurd situation we find ourselves in here. So I'm very thankful for that. And yeah, I'm kind of neutral on Thanksgiving. Like I don't mind the food. I like some of it and whatnot, but the family situations are always uncomfortable. And so I completely, and the history of the thing is not exactly pleasant either. So, you know, that, but is Thanksgiving kosher? I mean, not for me. I suppose, well, as long as you don't put cheese on your turkey, I guess it could be kosher. You could probably get a kosher turkey, right? I don't know that I've ever seen that advertised. I've seen like kosher chickens places and things like that, right? But I've never seen a kosher turkey advertised. But I'm sure if we went down to like somewhere like on Olympic or Pico in one of the Jewish neighborhoods, we'd find a market that had kosher turkeys.
What makes something kosher? That a rabbi blesses it?
So where
it has no foreskin?
That well, probably both of those two things, and then also the kitchen that it was butchered and prepared in and all of that kind of stuff, right? And that you don't eat it with cheese. You can't put meat and cheese together. You can't eat anything with cloven hoof. Like you can't eat any like bottom feeder fish from the ocean, or there's a few others. I can't remember what they are.
Can I just share my favorite Jewish joke as we move out?
Yes, please, let's do it.
So a Jewish couple moves into a new neighborhood and they their neighbors invite them over for a dinner party, and the neighbor presents them with a tray of shrimp. And the man says, "Oh, no, thank you, I'm Jewish." And then the host says, "That's okay, they're free."
Oh, you're cute. You're fun. Thank you, Denise. I will pass your healing on to my father. He seems to be texting up a storm about restaurants. So I guess he's feeling all right at this moment. It seems to be like we have highs and lows each day, but it's really also more about some of the dramatics of the family members that that this becomes an issue. So anywho, all right, guys, I think we're done. Going once, going twice. Now we have to wait like 5 or 10 seconds for YouTube to catch up. And then we can say, going 3 times gone. All right, guys, have a wonderful holiday. We'll see you when we return. Bye.